And staying with the migration story now, according to the 2021 census, 1.4 million people in Australia claim Chinese ancestry. Now, the history of the first Chinese migrant has been traced. Mak Sai Ying started out as a carpenter and went on to become a prominent innkeeper.
The State Library of New South Wales holds many treasures. Among them, the archives of the first Chinese person to come and settle in Australia. That was in 1818. Mak Sai Ying arrived from Guangzhou. He worked first as a carpenter, then owned several inns. His name was anglicised as John Sai Ying, as seen in a letter he sent to the governor. And property titles.
And this one's quite interesting as well. It looks to be like a family tree.
Oh yeah, that's great. That's really great. He probably still has descendants somewhere.
There's more treasure too, including this picture of his grandson, Private John Joseph Sai Ying, possibly the first Australian serviceman of Chinese ancestry. The map showing where his inn was located. Mak Sai Ying chose to live in Parramatta, then Australia's second town.
Just behind this big tower used to be one of the inns of Mak Sai Ying. And across the road here in St. Patrick's Cemetery, we find one last trace of his family.
He's a most interesting character. He must have been courageous. He must have been well liked because other people were prepared to buy land for him, to trade for him.
Mak Sai Ying's immigration to Australia appears to have been very successful.
He looks different. He speaks differently. Maybe he also dressed differently. And yet he must have been quite a ladies' man because 3 women all were prepared to marry someone who was called by the official records an alien.
In the cemetery is the grave of his third wife.
He married Bridget Gallurley, a good Irish Catholic girl. He was the forerunner. He really was the first.
More than 200 years later, the memory of Mak Sai Ying lives on. Julien Heuillet, SBS World News.
Members of